Welcome, curious minds, to a world of knowledge and discovery. Welcome to our video on Alejandro Valverde. We're thrilled to have you here. Alejandro Valverde Belmonte, born 25 April 1980, is a Spanish cyclist who competed as a professional in road bicycle racing from 2002 to 2022, and now competes in gravel cycling for the Movistar Team Gravel Squad. During his road racing career, Valverde took 133 professional victories, with some of his biggest wins having been the Vuelta a España in 2009, the Critérium du Dauphiné in 2008 and 2009, the Tour of the Basque Country in 2017, the Volta a Catalunya in 2009, 2017 and 2018, Liège Bastogne in 2006, 2008, 2015 and 2017, Flèche Wallonne in 2006, 2014, 2015, 2016 and 2017, the Clásica de San Sebastián in 2008 and 2014, the 2006 and 2008 UCI ProTours, the 2014 and 2015 UCI World Tours, and the road race in the 2018 World Championships. Prior to his Worlds win, he already held the record for most medals won at World Championships. He twice collected the silver medal in the World Championships, in 2003 and 2005, as well as the bronze 4 times in 2006, 2012, 2013 and 2014. Valverde entered 32 Grand Tours, finished 27 of them and placed in the top 10 of the general classification on 20 occasions. He also shares the record for most wins in the points classification in the Vuelta a España 4 times with Sean Kelly and Laurent Jalabert. Valverde is rare in combining different specialties in road bicycle racing, being a strong climbing specialist, sprinter and a good time trialist. The online database Cycling Ranking ranks him as the 3rd most successful cyclist of all time. Prepare yourself for an in-depth analysis of biography in this section. Born in Los Lumbreras, Murcia, Valverde came from a cycling family. His father Juan was an amateur bicycle racer and bought him a bike when he was 6 years old. His brother Juan Francisco was also an amateur road racing cyclist. Valverde's first race was in Jumala, in his region of Murcia, and he finished second. On the following week he won his second race in Yecla. He allegedly took more than 50 consecutive victories between 11 and 13 years old, earning him the nickname El Embatido, the Unbeaten. As we embark on the next leg of our journey, let's unpack the layers of amateur career and examine its core elements. Due to his many wins, Valverde was offered to ride for the elite amateur team Banesto based in Navarre, some distance away from his home in Murcia. Perhaps due to the exhaustion from having to travel back and forth every weekend, his performance suffered while with the team. He moved to the development team of the professional squad and was coached by Francisco Moya, whom he credited with helping him become a better cyclist. Kelm also promised to allow him to move to the professional squad if he showed good performance. At the end of his first season with the Kelm amateur squad, they offered to move him to the professional squad. Moving forward, we'll be taking a closer look at Kelm. Valverde turned professional in 2002 when he signed a contract with the Spanish team, with whom he stayed until the end of the 2004 season. During his time with Kelm, he had a breakthrough year in the 2003 Vuelta a España, where he won 2 stages and finished 3rd in the general classification. That year he also won the Vuelta a Malaga and a stage in Tour of the Basque Country and other Spanish races like GP Primavera and GP Vilafranca de Ordizia. He ended the season with a 2nd place in the 2003 UCI Road World Championships behind Igor Astalo after winning the sprint ahead of Peter Van Pettigem and Paolo Bettini. In the 2004 season he decided to stay with Kelm despite the team's financial woes and offers from other teams. He went on to win the Volta a Locominute at Valenciana, the Vuelta a Murcia, a stage in the Tour of the Basque Country, the Vuelta a Burgos and taking 4th in the Vuelta a España. Although he won a stage in the Vuelta, he was injured in a crash that forced him to downscale his ambitions in the overall classification. He also participated in the Summer Olympics. With the groundwork laid, let's now examine Clásica Movistar and its connections to our previous discussions. Clásica Movistar. Get ready for an exciting part as we dive into 2005. Valverde joined the UCI ProTours in 2005. He won the last stage in Paris-Nice and finished second overall behind Bobby Julich. He also took 2 stages in the Tour of the Basque Country. In his first ever appearance at the Tour de France, he won the 10th stage of the Tour de France ahead of Lance Armstrong, whom he beat in the sprint into Courchevel at the end of a mountain stage in the Alps. After stage 12, he was in 5th place on GC, 3 minutes and 16 seconds behind Armstrong. He was also leading in the Young Rider Classification white jersey, with a 3-minute and 9-second lead on Armstrong's teammate Jaroslav Popovic. However, Valverde was forced to withdraw from the Tour during the 13th stage because of a knee injury. Valverde recovered barely in time for the UCI Road World Championships in Madrid, Spain. The injury of Escafria, who was the Spanish team captain, forced him to become the team leader, despite having had only 1 day of competition before the Worlds. Amazingly, he was able to be competitive and finished second to winner Tom Boonen. Brace yourself for an in-depth analysis as we navigate through 2006 and its far-reaching implications. In 2006, Valverde won a stage in the Tour of the Basque Country, finishing second overall and capturing the points competition. He then completed a prestigious double in the Spring Classics, winning Flèche Wallonne and taking victory 4 days later at Liège Bastogne Liège. Valverde subsequently won a stage in the Tour de Romandie, finishing 3rd overall. Valverde planned to challenge at the 2006 Tour de France, and stated that he hoped to win in the future. He went to the Pinarello bicycle factory in Treviso, Italy, to optimize his time trialing performance. In fact, he started among the favorites for the Tour after the withdrawal of Jan Ullrich and Ivan Basso due to a doping investigation. However, on the 3rd stage of the race, Valverde crashed and had to abandon the Tour with a fractured right collarbone. His ambition to win a Grand Tour shifted to the Vuelta a España later that year. Valverde entered the Vuelta a España as the top favorite. Since he did not ride a full Tour de France, he was in better condition than some of the other candidates for the victory. Defending champion Denis Menchov and Carlos Sastre both ended in the top 10 of the Tour de France and were expected to be somewhat fatigued. Valverde won the 7th stage and dominated mountain stages, earning him the gold leader jersey after stage 9. Valverde lost the jersey, however, due to the aggressive climbing and attacking of Alexander Vinokourov. In the last time trial, Valverde again lost time on Vinokourov and had to settle for the 2nd place in the overall standings, his 2nd podium finish in a Grand Tour. Following his impressive performance in the Vuelta, Valverde won yet another major title, winning the UCI ProTours with several major races still left on the calendar as his point lead had reached unassailable levels. At the UCI Road World Championships, Valverde was considered one of the favorites for the title. Although he did not win, he was able to finish 3rd and claim a bronze medal. Let's now shift gears and explore 2007 through a critical lens, uncovering its strengths and weaknesses. He started 2007 by winning the overall classification at Volta a Locomotive at Valencia and Vuelta a Murcia. In stage 4 of the Vuelta a Murcia, Valverde accomplished his first win in an individual time trial. He also finished 3rd in the Critérium International and 5th in the Tour of the Basque Country. In the Ardennes Classics, he took 2nd place in both Flèche Wallonne and Liège Bastogne Liège, unable to repeat the double victory of 2006 season. In the Tour de France, Valverde was seen as one of the favorites for the yellow jersey until he had a disastrous individual time trial that diminished his chances of fighting for the overall classification. He subsequently finished 6th overall, 11 minutes behind, and thus finished his first Tour de France after being unable to complete the race in 2005 and 2006. He decided not to race the Vuelta a España in order to prepare for the UCI Road World Championships. On 29 August 2007, the UCI announced that they prevented Valverde from riding the World Championships in Stuttgart because of his possible implication in the Operation Porter doping case to safeguard the atmosphere and reputation of the World Championships. The UCI also called upon the Spanish Cycling Federation RFEC to open disciplinary proceedings against the rider, but RFEC refused to comply with the UCI's request, saying there was no new evidence against him. RFEC also included Valverde in its squad for the World Championships, where he ended up second. The matter was taken to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, which authorized Valverde to participate in the World Championships. In this section, we'll be deep diving into 2008, unraveling its complexities and uncovering valuable insights. In 2008, Valverde showed strong form in the spring. After winning the Vuelta a Murcia, Valverde was focused on training. He announced his readiness with a podium finish in the Clásica Primavera and a triumph at the Paris-Jalabert. These successes foreshadowed excellent results in the Ardennes Classics, a podium at the Amstel Gold Race and victory in Liège Bastogne Liège. Valverde also won the Critérium du Dauphiné and the Spanish National Road Race Championships in June. On 5 July, Valverde won the first stage of the Tour de France. His form faltered in the Pyrenees, and after being dropped on the Col du Tourmalet, eventually losing 5:52 to stage winner Leonardo Pipoli, scrapping hopes of a podium finish. He performed better in the Alps and claimed a top 10 finish. On Alpe d'Huez, it appeared that he was working alongside to try to eliminate Cadel Evans. He followed the Tour with a strong victory in the Clásica de San Sebastián, leading out the sprint and holding off Alexander Kolobnev and Davide Rebellin. Later, at the Vuelta a España, he started strong, winning the second stage and wearing the general classification leader's jersey on the third one. He was among the leaders in the first week. However, he lost around 2 minutes on a very wet stage to Sances and any chance of a podium finish. However, he ended up in 4th position overall at the end with some strong performances, including an impressive ride up the Angliru, where he was only bettered by Alberto Contador, and then a good performance in the mountain time trial. Before the participation at the UCI Road World Championships at Vars, he was mathematically proclaimed the UCI ProTours winner, being his second win in the 4 editions of the competition. As we embark on the next leg of our journey, let's unpack the layers of 2009 and examine its core elements. Valverde started 2009 in good form by taking the points and mountains classifications in the Vuelta a Castilla y León while finishing 9th overall with 2 stage victories. He could not repeat his successes of the last few years in the Spring Classics, with his best result being a 7th at Flèche Wallonne. He won the Clásica Primavera and the Volta a Catalunya to put those disappointments behind him. With the threat of not racing the Tour de France hanging over his head, he entered the Critérium du Dauphiné hoping to prove his worth. He performed consistently throughout the 2 early time trials to stay in touch with the leaders before finishing second on Mont Ventoux to take the lead in the overall classification. Though Cadel Evans repeatedly attacked him in the final days, he stayed on his wheel, with the help of compatriot Alberto Contador, to take the yellow jersey. On the back of these successes, he appealed his ban by the Italian authorities with the Court of Arbitration for Sport in the hope of racing the Tour. On 20 September 2009, Valverde clinched the overall victory in the Vuelta a España. Despite having no stage victories, Valverde's consistency in the mountains allowed him to keep the leader's jersey all the way to end, after capturing it on stage 9. The time has come to unravel the secrets behind 2010 and gain a deeper understanding. All his 2010 results were annulled because of the suspension. With our curiosity piqued, let's embark on a dedicated exploration of 2012 and its fascinating intricacies. Valverde made his return to the peloton during the Tour Down Under, the first race of the UCI World Tour season. He won the race's 5th stage, the Queen stage of the event, by outsprinting Simon Gerrans in a 2-man sprint in Wallonga, and finished second overall. He earned his first overall victory since his return, by winning February's Vuelta at Andaluca, as well as achieving a stage victory during the race. Valverde also finished third in Paris-Nice, and by winning Stage 3 showed good form for the upcoming Tour de France. In the Tour de France he sat casually in the peloton until initiating a breakaway in Stage 17, which he held onto after breaking away from the other 16 riders in the breakaway. Almost chased him down, ending only 19 seconds adrift. It was Valverde's fourth Tour de France stage victory. Valverde entered the Vuelta a España as a lieutenant to the defending champion Juan José Cobo in the. However, Valverde would soon become the leader when it became apparent that Cobo was not in top form. He started off with a victory in the first stage, a team time trial. Valverde would take the lead of the general, points and combination classifications after winning Stage 3, in which he chased down repeated attacks from Alberto Contador and outsprinted Joaquim Rodriguez at the finishing line. He would subsequently lose the lead to Rodriguez, but won the 8th stage atop the Corredor de la Golina in Andorra. Contador broke away from the small lead group and looked like he was heading for the win, but Rodriguez and Valverde passed him with less than 100 meters to go, with Valverde taking the win. Valverde ultimately finished the Vuelta in second position overall after being a constant threat for the leader, which was Rodriguez, until Stage 17 where Contador soloed to victory and grabbed the lead, which he would not relinquish. Valverde won both the points and combination classification jerseys on the final day from Rodriguez as a result of a sixth-place finish on the last stage in Madrid. Valverde had to settle for a bronze medal in the World Championships in Valkenburg, as he was unable to reach Felipe Gilbert, who attacked on the final climb of the Caberg. He was the first of a group of 27 riders who had a 5 seconds deficit on the Belgian when crossing the line. He was supposed to participate in the Guerra di Lombardia, but announced on the morning of the race that he was suffering from influenza and was putting an end to his 2012 season. Moving on to the next segment, we have 2013. As in 2012, Valverde won the overall classification of the Vuelta at Andaluca in 2013, where he also won the points classification in the race. Valverde continued showing some good form after finishing with podium places in the Vuelta a Murcia, the Amstel Gold Race and in Liège Bastogne Liège. After having a decent spring campaign, Valverde aimed for a podium finish in the Tour de France. Valverde started the Tour in good form after finishing third in X-Domains behind Chris Froome and Richie Porte. However, the next day, Porte lost over 15 minutes, which moved Valverde into second overall right before the Tour left the Pyrenees. On Stage 13, Valverde lost almost 10 minutes after getting a flat tire. Despite a very hard pursuit, a high crosswinds and the pace of the peloton prevented him and his teammates from catching back. They ended up with the second group at the finish, causing him to slip out of the top 10. Despite losing his second position, Valverde managed to do well in the Alps, which moved him back into the top 10 of the overall standings, finishing 8th overall. At the Vuelta a España, after Stage 10, Valverde sat 4th overall, a minute behind race leader Chris Horner. However, on Stage 11, he moved back up into 3rd after finishing 8th in the time trial. On Stage 14, on a rainy descent, Valverde was dropped by the GC contenders entering the final climb a minute back. He managed to limit his losses on the final climb, staying within a minute of his rivals, though losing close to a minute on Nibali, Horner, and Joaquim Rodriguez. On Stage 16, he managed to cut back a handful of seconds on Nibali and Horner. He entered the penultimate Stage 20 a minute behind the race leader. He came third of the stage, which finished atop the steep Alto del Zanglio, securing a podium finish in the general classification, 1 minute and 36 seconds behind race winner Horner. At the World Championships, he took the 3rd place, but was criticized for failing to cover the late attack of Portuguese Rui Costa. Costa eventually reached and outsprinted Rodriguez, Valverde's Spanish teammate. Without wasting any more time, let's jump into the fascinating world of 2014. Tour de France 2014, Groep Gel True met Valverde en Pinot op Thumb. Valverde right at the 2014 Tour de France. In the Tour de France, Valverde ended in 4th place in the general classification. On to August 2014, Valverde won the Clásica de San Sebastián for the second time in his career. He won the first uphill finish of the Vuelta a España by powering away from the leaders after leading the group for most of the final climb. He finished the Spanish Grand Tour on the third step of the podium behind Chris Froome and the overall winner Alberto Contador. After the Vuelta, it was announced that Valverde had signed a 3-year contract with his, meaning that he would ride for them until at least 2017. At the World Road Race Championships in Ponferrada, Valverde stood on the third step on the podium for the 3rd year in a row. He came in second at the Giro di Lombardia, passing Contador for first place in the UCI World Tour rankings. In this section, we'll be shedding light on 2015 and its impact on our understanding of the subject. Valverde grabbed 3 stage victories in the Volta Catalunya. On stage 2, he got the better of a bunch sprint and helped score with his teammate Jose Joaquin Rojas. On stage 5, he launched a late attack as he was part of a small group containing all the leaders coming into walls and won solo. On the last stage, he won the sprint of a group of about 40 riders and with the bonus seconds, snatched the second place of the overall classification from Domenico Pozzovivo. At the Amstel Gold Race he came in second, being bested in a small group sprint by Mika Kwiatkowski. The following Wednesday, Valverde equalled the record number of victories on Flèche Wallonne with 3, distancing Julian Alaphilippe and Michael Albertini in the final meters of the Mudéjar. He went one better the following Sunday, winning the sprint of a small group of riders to impose himself on Liège-Bastogne. It was the 3rd time in his career Valverde had won La Doyenne. It was also the 2nd time that he had won Liège-Bastogne and Flèche Wallonne in the same year, becoming only the 2nd rider to have achieved this double twice, after Ferdinand Kubler. In June, he won the Spanish National Road Race Championships. At the Tour de France, Valverde finished on the podium in 3rd place, his first podium finish at the Tour, achieving a lifelong dream of a top 3 finish. With that finish he had one career goal left, a World Championship victory. As we embark on the next leg of our journey, let's unpack the layers of 2016 and examine its core elements. Valverde's main goals for the 2016 season were the Ardennes Classics, the Giro d'Italia and the road race at the Olympic Games in Rio. He started his season by taking the overall at the Vuelta and Aleca in February. He outpowered the rest of the contenders, including TJ Van Garderen and Rafa Majka, on the climb up to the finish on the final stage. Valverde changed his initial plan of riding the Tour of Flanders and went to Tenerife to prepare for the Giro. He returned to competition by winning 2 stages and the overall at the Vuelta a Castilla y León, which he chose to race instead of the Amstel Gold Race, a race still lacking from his Palmares. The following Wednesday he took his 3rd consecutive Flèche Wallonne victory and became the most prolific winner of the smaller Ardennes Classic with his 4th win. He showed his climbing prowess by controlling up until the last 150 meters when he accelerated away from his rivals to take the victory. The Sunday following, he went out to repeat his Ardennes double from 2015 by securing another Liège-Bastogne win, but he fell short and only managed to finish 16th. Valverde was named in the start list for the Giro d'Italia, his first participation in the Italian race. Valverde rode a consistent race but struggled in the high mountains, especially on the Queen stage in the Dolomites where he lost more than 3 minutes. He fought back the very next day with a 3rd place in the mountain time trial and managed to win his first Giro d'Italia stage the day after the rest day in Andalo, his 14th stage win over the 3 Grand Tours. He secured his spot on the podium by outclimbing Steven Kruijswijk on the very last mountain stage and finished 3rd overall, becoming only the 16th cyclist to finish on the podium in each of the 3 Grand Tours. Later that year, Valverde finished 6th in the Tour de France, earning his 9th consecutive top 10 finish in his last 9 Grand Tour starts. A week later he was 3rd at the 2016 Clásica de San Sebastián. At the Vuelta a España he finished 12th in the general classification and 3rd in the points classification. Upon completing the Vuelta he became just the 33rd rider in cycling history to complete all 3 Grand Tours in the same season. Valverde finished 4th in the World Tour season standings. In this section, we'll be peeling back the layers of 2017 to reveal its true essence. In February 2017, Valverde took his first win of the season at the Vuelta a Murcia, a race that he had previously won 4 times. He followed this up with a win in the Vuelta a Andalucía for the 5th time in 6 years, defeating runner-up Alberto Contador by a single second and winning Stage 1 in the process. The overall win was the 100th victory in Valverde's career. After not starting Paris-Nice due to illness, Valverde went on to dominate the Volta a Catalunya by winning stages 3, 5, and 7 and beating runner-up Contador by over a minute. This was done in spite of him and his team being given a 1-minute penalty for pushes in the opening team time trial. At the Tour of the Basque Country, Valverde won Stage 5 and went into the final day's individual time trial as the race leader, albeit on the same time as Rigoberto Urán and Michael Woods, Romain Bardet, and Luis Meintjes, along with having just a 3-second advantage over Contador. In the time trial, Valverde finished second on the day to Primo Roglic by just 9 seconds, and he beat Contador by 14 seconds, extending his overall lead and giving Valverde his 3rd stage race victory of the season. He punctuated his dominance in Flèche Wallonne by winning the race for the 4th consecutive year and the 5th time overall. A few days later in Bastogne, Valverde fended off a late attack from Dan Martin and managed to outsprint him at the line and take his 4th win in the event. After taking time off from racing to train at a 25-day altitude camp at Sierra Nevada, Valverde raced in the Critérium du Dauphiné, where in the Stage 4 time trial he clocked the 3rd best time, losing out only to world time trial champion Tony Martin and Richie Porte by 12 and 24 seconds respectively. He managed to put time into the rest of his general classification rivals, including Contador, Bardet, and most notably, defending champion Chris Froome. Over the subsequent mountain stages, Valverde was consistently aggressive. However, it failed to pay off, and by the end of the Dauphiné he was 4 minutes 8 seconds down on Jacob Fuglsang, in 9th place overall. Going into the Tour de France, Valverde stated that he would work for his teammate Nairo Quintana. However, he was still considered an outside bet for the final podium by many pundits. On the opening individual time trial stage, Valverde crashed on a tight corner and was forced to abandon the Tour immediately, his first Grand Tour withdrawal since 2006. He suffered a fractured kneecap, ruling him out for several months. Ultimately, Valverde opted to end his 2017 season because of his knee injury with the hope of making his comeback at the start of the 2018 season. As we progress, let's shine a spotlight on 2018 and examine its intricate interplay within our topic. Valverde returned to racing at the Challenge Mallorca in late January 2018. At the Volta a Locomotive Valenciana, he took his first victory after his comeback, winning Stage 2 and taking the overall lead in the process. The following weekend, he finished second to compatriot Luis León Sánchez in the Vuelta a Murcia. Later in February, Valverde claimed overall victory at the Abu Dhabi Tour, winning the Stage 2 Jebel Hafeet. Valverde finished 17 seconds clear of Dutch rider Wilco Kelderman from. In March, Valverde rode the Strade Bianche Classic, held partially on gravel roads in torrential rain. He finished 4th, 1 minute and 25 seconds behind winner Thies Benoot. Later that month, Valverde won the Volta Catalunya for the 3rd time in his career. Valverde won the 2nd and 4th stages during the race, taking the race lead and the mountains jersey as well for good after his 2nd stage victory. He finished 29 seconds clear of his nearest rival, teammate Nairo Quintana, after Quintana's Colombian compatriot Egan Bernal crashed out of the race on the final day. His next race, the cobbled Clásica de San Sebastián, resulted in an 11th place showing after being in the mix for the victory until the successful breakaway of eventual winner Yves Lampert in the closing kilometers. After taking victory in the GP Miguel Indurain followed by a second place in the Clásica Primavera, he began his Ardennes campaign with 5th place at the Amstel Gold Race. On the following Wednesday he was beaten by Frenchman Julien Alaphilippe at Flèche Wallonne, a race he had won the 4 previous years. Furthermore, he was unable to win Liège Bastogne and finished 13th, making it the first time since 2013 that he did not win an Ardennes Classic race. After a lengthy break he won the Route d'Occitanie stage race in June where he prepared for the Tour de France. He made several long attacks in service of his teammates Quintana and Mikel Landa, but all the 3 leaders failed to threaten the podium. Valverde returned for the Vuelta a España where was supposed to work for Quintana. He won Stage 2 in an uphill sprint and Stage 8 in a reduced bunch sprint, beating then world champion Peter Sagan in the latter. He maintained a high position in the general classification until the last weekend and still had a chance of overall victory. He struggled in the last 2 stages in Andorra and only managed to finish 5th, but won the points classification for a record-equalling 4th time. Valverde won the gold medal at the UCI Road World Championships in Innsbruck, in his 12th participation. He triumphed in a small group sprint at the finish line ahead of Romain Bardet, Michael Woods and Tom Dumoulin, becoming the 2nd oldest road world champion in history after Duke Zoetemelk. An emotional Valverde called this his biggest ever victory and one he has chased for 15 years. As we enter this new chapter, let's navigate the complexities of 2019 and unravel its multifaceted nature. Valverde took his first major result of 2019 when he finished 2nd overall to Ion Izagirre in the Volta Allotment at Valenciana. He then finished 2nd again, this time to Luis León Sánchez, at the Vuelta a Murcia. At the 2019 UAE Tour, Valverde took his first victory as world champion by winning the sprint at the summit finish of Stage 3. He would go on to finish the race in 2nd place overall. During the Spring Classics, Valverde rode the Tour of Flanders, his first participation in the monument. He finished the race in 8th place. Valverde endured a difficult end to his spring campaign. At the Flèche Wallonne, he swallowed a bid during the race and eventually finished 11th. A crash in the lead-up to Liège Bastogne resulted in a bone edema. Valverde started the race, not knowing of the severity of his injury, and then abandoned during the event, the first time he had not finished. After recovering from his injuries, he returned to racing at the Route d'Occitanie, which he won. On 30 June, he won the Spanish National Road Race Championships for the 3rd time in his career. At the Tour de France, he finished 9th overall. At the Vuelta a España, Valverde took victory at Stage 7 of the race, a summit finish at Mos de la Costa. He would eventually finish the Vuelta in 2nd place overall, 2 minutes, 16 seconds behind Primo Roglic. At the World Championship road race in Yorkshire, run in very rainy conditions, Valverde abandoned his title defense with about 60 kilometers to go. Towards the end of the season, he finished 2nd to Bauke Mollema at Lombardia. With our curiosity piqued, let's embark on a dedicated exploration of 2020 and its fascinating intricacies. Valverde contested 6 races prior to the COVID-19 pandemic-enforced suspension of racing, recording a best finish of 2nd place to Emmanuel Buchmann at the Trofeo Serra de Tramontana, a one-day race held as part of the Vuelta a Malaga. Following racing recommencing, Valverde contested both the Tour de France and the Vuelta a España, finishing the races in 12th and 10th positions respectively. He finished in the 2nd chase group in the road race at the UCI Road World Championships in Italy, with an 8th place finish. In this section, we'll be deep diving into 2021, unraveling its complexities and uncovering valuable insights. Having finished 4th in March's Volta a Catalunya, Valverde took his first victory in more than 18 months with his record-equalling 3rd victory in the GP Miguel Indurain, soling clear with approximately 2 kilometers remaining. He recorded top 5 finishes in each of the 3 Ardennes Classics, making the podium with a third-place finish at Flèche Wallonne. At June's Critérium du Dauphiné, Valverde won the 6th stage in a sprint of a small group in Le Sapy-en-Chartreuse, his first stage win at the race in 13 years. He then competed in the Tour de France, finishing 24th, with his best stage result being a second-place finish to set Cuss on stage 15, which finished in Anora. He also participated in the men's individual road race in the COVID-19 pandemic-delayed Tokyo Olympics, his 5th participation at the Summer Olympic Games. He failed to finish the Vuelta a España after a crash on the 7th stage, the first time he had abandoned the race since his first start in 2002. His next start came at the Giro di Sicilia, where he won a stage and finished 2nd overall to Vincenzo Nibali, losing the race lead following Nibali's final stage victory. In this part of the video, we'll be delving deeper into 2022 and analyzing its key components. In October 2021, Valverde announced that the 2022 season would be his final season as a professional rider. At the Vuelta a Malaga, Valverde finished 2nd to Tim Wellens in the Trofeo Serra de Tramontana, before winning the Trofeo Polina Port Sandret in a sprint against Brandon McNulty. The following month, he won a stage, the general classification and the points classification at the inaugural running of O Gran Camino. He was the closest competitor to Tadej Pogacar in Strade Bianche, with Pogacar winning from a 50 km solo attack. He finished 2nd to Dylan Teuns at Flèche Wallonne in April, before riding the Giro d'Italia for the first time since 2016, finishing 11th overall. Having finished 13th at his 16th and final Vuelta a España, Valverde concluded his road racing career with an Italian block of racing. He recorded finishes of 2nd in the Coppa Ugo Agostoni, 4th in the Giro dell'Emilia assisting teammate Enric Mas to victory, 3rd in Tre Valli Varsin, and 6th in Lombardia. In the upcoming section, we'll be dissecting gravel racing and exploring its intricate connections to our topic. In April 2023, it was announced that Valverde was coming out of retirement to compete in gravel cycling for the Movistar Team Gravel Squad. He won 2 events on the UCI Gravel World Series, winning La Indomable in Almere and the Ranco Gravel in Ponce, Leader. Valverde finished on the 4th place at the 2023 World Gravel Championships. Get ready for an exciting exploration as we unravel the mysteries of doping. Alejandro Valverde has been linked by documentary and DNA evidence to the Operation Porter, a blood doping affair which erupted in May 2006 against Dr. Eufemiano Fuentes and a number of accomplices. It uncovered doping products, bags of blood and human plasma, and code names that appeared to link top athletes, including up to 60 cyclists, to a highly organized system of doping, which relied heavily on blood transfusions. Valverde was not initially linked in the investigation, but documents from Madrid's Court 31 linked Valverde to a single bag of human plasma of the 211 total bags of blood and plasma seized in the investigation. The bag of human plasma was labeled with the codes VALV, PT and 18. In 2007, Valverde was banned by the International Cycling Union UCI from competing in the UCI Road World Championships in Stuttgart, but Valverde was cleared by the Court of Arbitration for Sport to compete at the championships. Dick Pound, World Anti-Doping Agency president, said the CAS decision did not mean that Valverde was no longer a suspect. In early 2009, the Italian National Olympic Committee matched DNA samples taken from Valverde during a rest day in Italy of the 2008 Tour de France to plasma seized in the Operation Porter investigation. At a February 2009 appearance in front of the Olympic Committee, Valverde maintained his innocence and questioned the Italians' jurisdiction over this case. In May 2009, the Italian Olympic Committee suspended him from competition in Italy for 2 years, effectively barring him from the 2009 Tour de France, which detoured briefly onto Italian soil. Valverde filed an unsuccessful appeal against the Italian ban with the Court of Arbitration for Sport, In a second hearing on March 2010, the UCI and WADA contested the Spanish Cycling Federation's decision not to open a case against Valverde. Finally, on 31 May 2010 it was announced the Court of Arbitration for Sport upheld the appeals from WADA and the UCI, and Valverde was banned for 2 years, starting 1 January 2010, but rejected the request that any results obtained by the athlete prior to the beginning of the suspension be annulled. After serving the 2-year suspension, Alejandro Valverde returned to competition in 2012 riding for the. After a lengthy court battle, he was suspended for 2 years as part of the Operation Porter blood doping investigation, but he returned to competition in 2012 upon completion of the ban. All his results from 2010 were stripped, including the overall win in the 2010 Tour de Romandie, and he did not compete in 2011. Moving on to the next segment, we have awards. Volo d'Or 2018. I love hearing from you, so leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments.